Good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the RJH live stream. Thursday the 19th. How are we all doing? Good. Live stream. Welcome, everybody. Thursday, the 19th of August, 2021. And tonight's live stream is all about the U-turn. All about the U-turn. Welcome, everybody. Nobody watching at the moment. Oh, what a week it's been. What a week. So big congrats to everybody that has started the journey onto two wheels, taster sessions, CBTs, module 1s, module 2s, and there has been a few of them. And also thank you to all of those that have been messaging me from different parts of the country that have successfully got through different parts of the test. So well done. It is good to know that the videos do help and the channels do help. So yeah, welcome to the live stream talking all about the U-turn tonight. Okay, it's all about the U-turn. So it's going to be not the longest live stream, not the shortest live stream, but quite possibly this will benefit anybody that is thinking about doing a CBT. Is anybody thinking about doing their module 1? The U-turn is not going to go away. It is something that you will have to complete satisfactorily. Okay, so this video could help anybody that is thinking of a CBT and a module 1, because you will have to do the U-turn during those tests. So, good evening, Hader. Hader, good evening, who has passed his module 1 and he has gone on to his module 2. So, commencing his module 2 training shortly. Welcome, Hader. And Harry, good evening. Harry, even after you pass, you need to know how to do a U-turn. Although, in fairness, if you put your foot down, it isn't the end of the world. Correct. Yeah, in the big wide world, once you've passed your test, yeah, you can put your foot down. But yeah, you cannot do that on your test. So yeah. But, you know, what we are going to have a look at tonight is, as I said, it's going to benefit those that are thinking about a CBT, thinking about the module 1. We'll have a little chat about what the U-turn is, where you would do a U-turn, where you'd complete one, where you wouldn't complete a U-turn, and how you're going to do a U-turn. And I've got some top tips. Okay, so that's what we will be having a look at tonight during this short live stream. Watched another training school video, and they said you are allowed to go over the end left line, but wheels must be touching the white line. Okay, so you don't want to go outside of the white lines. Okay. Left to right, 7.5 meters on your module 1. Don't go outside, but you can go on it. You get a minor fault. Go outside of it. So if there's black tarmac in between the inside of your tire and the outside of the white line, then you will pick up a serious fault. Best thing to do is not to even go on the white line. And as I say, it is 7.5 meters, so it is quite wide. So not really any need to go over the white line. Not really any need to go over the white line. But it has, you know, it does happen. Yeah, it is. You get a tank around 7.5 meters, Harry. You get a tank around that. tank will get around 7.5 meters. So yeah, welcome everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition live stream all about the U-turn. So before we get on to that, below in the description, I've got various different videos in the description below. And one of them, I think the first one I've put on, is the slow speed control that we discussed and explained during a live stream about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So the link is in the description below. So anybody just watching the channel for the first time, watching this video for the first time, because people watch this afterwards, then click the links below, because they will also help and make it a little bit more easier to understand. But there is a video, slow speed control, discussed and explained, along with most of the slow speed module 1 maneuvers. So you can have a look at those at your leisure and combine it with this live stream. So let's first of all then think about what it is. What is a U-turn? So who is watching that wants to explain then what a U-turn is? Yeah, I think there is a lot of similarity, Harry, with the U-turn and the figure of 8, but then there is things that are different. So we'll go through them. We will go through them. You will need to forgive me. You can have a little biscuit. So what is a U-turn? Who's got that answer? A maneuver to face you the opposite direction without using manual handling. Yeah, good. Well done, Hader. What have I got here? The U-turn, you're turning your bike around in the shape of a U, so it is facing the opposite direction. Simple as that. Where would you do the U-turn? So where would you do the U-turn? I'm just going to open the window because it's a little bit warm in here. Yeah, so where would you do the U-turn? Well, it needs to be safe, doesn't it? Side minor road, yeah. On a module 1 course, yeah. On a CBT pad. So I think you just got to look at the road that you're going to be doing it on as being safe. It needs to be legal. So no dual carriageway, one-way roads, that sort of thing. It needs to be convenient. No traffic and stuff like that. So safe, legal, convenient. Where wouldn't you do it? Just said, one-way roads, dual carriageways. Wouldn't want to do it near a junction, stuff like that. So yeah, a road with good visibility in both directions, absolutely. So yeah, it needs to be safe, legal, convenient. So that's what it is. That's where you would do it and where you wouldn't do it, I suppose. Yeah, abortive road conditions are worse for wear, yeah. Road surface. So let's talk then how we are going to do it. And I've got a list of me top tips. So this is anybody there that is going to be thinking of doing a CBT in a module 1. These top tips could help you. So who wants to start off with any top tips? So Hader, you've already done the U-turn. Harry, you've done it as well. Not a lot of an audience tonight, but interaction, that's what we're after. We're not after numbers watching, it's the interaction. So top tips then for a successful U-turn. Don't look down, look where you want the bike to go. Yeah, good. My top tip for a successful U-turn, my top tip is to focus on it and don't rush it. So I think my number one top tip would be to focus and don't rush it. Now, in your test situation, that would mean that you're in a position where you're going to be, you've been asked by the examiner what you're going to be doing. So you almost want to get yourself in the zone. So don't just do it. Just take a minute. Just take a little bit of a breather and think about, get yourself in the zone as to what you're going to do. Because remember, you only get one go. So that's my number one top tip, is to focus and don't rush it. Okay. Harry, don't look down, look where you want to go. Spot on. Yes, Harry, again, if you feel the bike about to drop, release the clutch more. Yes, that does help, giving it more drive to ride out of it. Ada, clutch is in friction point and back brake slightly trailing on, whilst a steady acceleration. Yep, so you sort of fighting those controls, using those three controls together. So all those are really good answers. So my top tip number two, and I'll list these down below as well, but my top tip number two would be the coordination. Now, as I said a bit earlier on, the coordination, I've got the description below. The top video that the live stream that I've done on that is a slow speed control discussed and explained. So take a look at that live stream, because there's a lot of interaction with different people as well. But it's important to have the coordination of the slow speed, which is your throttle, your accelerator, your power, your clutch, and your rear brake. So that coordination is really very, very important. So my top tip number two is to ensure you have got that coordination being applied. Yeah, so before you set off on your test, you'd be checking both your mirrors and both your shoulders, and I would always recommend you to look over your right shoulder as the last shoulder, because you're moving away from the curbside. So your danger is going to be over your right. So mirrors, so go left to right. So left shoulder, left mirror, right shoulder. And that's good practice for the road. If you're on the side of the road, left shoulder, pedestrian activity. Left mirror, good visibility behind further. Right mirror, right shoulder, in that order. But the coordination is really, really important. And I suppose in that coordination, I would also highlight that you would really, really, really want to leave the front brake alone. Okay. If you're using your front brake on slow speed coordination, particularly when you're turning, you are going to have problems. Okay. you will have problems, and we don't want problems. You know, it will lead to you losing control. So top tip number 1 is focus, don't rush. Top tip number 2 would be using that coordination. My top tip number 3 would be momentum and speed. Yeah. Please, can you discuss revs and slip versus being on idle? So the coordination, you want your revs bit higher than tick over. You want your clutch on the friction, you want drive, and you want the back brake trailing. So those 3. There is a video down below, AWA. Watch that one. It's slow speed control discussed and explained. Unrelated, but is it fine to use front brake at higher speeds? Absolutely, Harry. Front brake is the most effective with the back brake to slow down in a straight line. Don't be afraid of the front brake, but we wouldn't teach you to use your front brake when you've got the feather in the clutch, when you've got that slow speed coordination and your feather in that clutch. You don't need that front brake because the power of it, and especially when you're turning. So front brake, back brake in a straight line is the most effective way of slowing down. So don't be afraid of the front brake. It's just really where you're using it and how you're using it. So my top tip number 3 would be momentum and speed. And you don't want to do it too slow. The slower you go, the harder it is. You can go slower in a straight line, but if you want to get that turn, get a bit of rhythm. And we teach people to do this 6, 7, 8 miles an hour. 6, 7, 8 miles an hour. Get a nice rhythm, okay? And that makes it a lot easier. Makes it a lot easier. So top tip number 3. So number 1, top tip, focus, don't rush. Top tip number 2, coordination. That's your gas, clutch, and rear brake. Top tip number 3 would be your momentum. So don't go too slow. Now, top tip number 4, observation. Now, observations before you're setting away, but really what I mean as well, lifesaver before you commit to your turn, a good lifesaver before you commit. And then you want to be looking where you want to go. So don't just look inside a bubble that's around you. Look outside that bubble. Look as far as into where you want to go as you can. Your hands will follow your eyes. Okay, so looking where you want to go. So top tip number 1, focus, don't rush. Top tip number 2, coordination. Top tip number 3, momentum and your speed. Top tip number 4 is observations and looking where you want to go. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Top tip number 5 then. This is a good one. Top tip number 5 is don't be afraid to lean the bike. Don't be afraid to lean the bike. But what you don't want to do is lean with the bike. Okay, so it's great to lean the bike, but don't lean with it. If anything, lean against it. And on one of my previous videos, we talked about counterweight. So don't let your body go with the bike. Shift the body against the bike. And counterbalance is what it's called. Yeah. What and how I would simplify this, because if you say somebody lean your body against the bike, they're physically going to do that. All you need to do is shift your rear. So if you're doing a left to right U-turn, which is the one you're going to be doing, put your right bum cheek to the left of the seat. Yep. So just shift your bum over, and that will prevent it going with it. Okay. Good evening, Jules Welsh Womble. Jules, good evening. So yeah, don't be afraid to lean the bike, but don't lean with the bike. Okay, lean against it. So that would probably be top tip number 5. And if I've got a top tip number 6, then we'll go into these a little bit more detail as well and talk about, what could go wrong when you're doing them. Because all we're doing at the moment is just going through how we do it. So in a minute, we'll discuss, well, what if it goes wrong and how you can sort of react. But top tip number 6, I would say, has got to be relax. Don't tighten yourself up and relax. And that's easier said than done. And again, I've said this on many videos before, but we get people that come to us that have never, ever ridden a bike before. So they come to us, they've never, ever ridden, but they have this mental blockage about a U-turn, and they haven't even been on the bike yet. They've never been on a bike, but they still have this thing about a U-turn. I think it's from speaking to different people and stuff like that. So they would be my top 6 tips. Number 1, I'll repeat them again. Number 1, focus, don't rush. Number 2, coordination of the controls. Number 3 is momentum, speed. Number 4 is observations, looking. Number 5 would be don't be afraid to lean the bike, but lean your body against it, counterweight. And number 6 has got to be relax. Yeah, those, I think, if I was going to highlight 6 pointers that will make the U-turn good, it would have to be those 6. Yes, Harry, you do need the front brake with a module 1 control stop, emergency stop and avoidance. Yes, so most effective way of slowing down and stopping in a straight line is front brake followed by back brake. AW8, do you feel bike may be more stable when slow with higher revs and clutch slipped whilst? Yes, you can go slower and tighter if you give it more gas, give it more revs, give it more drive. It's not going to go faster because you've got the back brakes. You're tightening it even further. But yes, you can get more control, AW8. You need like 7 miles per hour to have momentum enough to go round, then light use of rear brake whilst clutch is slipping. Yes. Relax while on mod 1 is definitely easier said than done. I think the unnatural feeling of being on a closed course makes you feel under more pressure. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely, Harry. You've got to come to terms with your nerves. If you get those under control, then, yep, easier said than done. Lower than 5 miles an hour on speedo, can unstable the bike whilst turning. The bike may want to tip into a turn. Correct use of 3 controls will allow the bike to correct minor changes in direction. Yep, spot on, Hader. Easier to go under 5 mile an hour in a straight line. Landy Andy 83, good evening. And good evening, Lisa. Yeah, good evening, Lisa. So to recap, everybody, tonight is all about the U-turn. So we've had a chat about what it is. We've had a little chat about where you would do it and where you wouldn't do it. We've had a little chat about how you would do it. So let's talk about then things that go wrong. So what sort of things go wrong on a U-turn and how can you react to prevent those things going wrong? So one of the biggest problems on a U-turn, on a test anyway, is at the beginning, then the observations. People forget to do the observations or they forget to do a lifesaver. Well, if you forget to do a lifesaver, you're gonna fail, aren't you? If you don't do a lifesaver before you point a turn, you're going to fail your test. So how can you prevent doing that? By doing it. Would you turn around in a U-turn on the road without looking over your shoulder? I would not think so. So don't do it on your test, because the test is replicating exactly what you do on the roads. Yeah, so get that momentum, get that control. So sort of things that can go wrong. Middle of the turn, put in the front brake. Well, if you do that, you got problems, haven't you? Yeah, so remember, the one brake that you want to ensure you leave alone is the front brake. You do not want the front brake on the U-turn, because you are going to lose control. Potentially, you're going to drop the bike. Looking down at the ground. Yeah, so if you're looking down at the ground, then you don't know where you're going. And the very, very good chance, if you are looking at the ground, that's where you're going to go. So you'll end up putting your feet down, possibly leaning over. Control problems. So remember the classic saying, your hands will follow your eyes. The bike goes where you look. So look down, it will go down. Yes, Harry, spot on. That is what will happen. So look where you want to go. What about the engine labouring? What's the engine labouring going to cause? Yeah, that is exactly what will happen, Hader. Thumbs up from South Wales, Michaelo. Good evening. So what would happen then if the engine is labouring? And we all know what the labouring of the engine is, where the engine is struggling and the engine could stall. Yes, Harry. So, and if the engine stalls, there is a very good chance that you will put your feet down. So we don't want the engine stalling. Now, what causes the engine to stall? Yeah, bike can fall or overrun the U-turn. Absolutely. What will, if the engine is labouring, so we know what the labouring of the engine is, and we know what could happen if the engine labours, but what causes the engine to labour? So if you're starting your U-turn and the engine is labouring, how are you going to respond to it? Because you can respond and you can get out of it. You can salvage it. Doesn't mean say you're going to have a problem. Yeah, identify it, recognize it. How are you then going to deal with it? Well, that's what can cause labouring. The clutch is too far out and not enough throttle. So how can you react to it? How can you react to it? You can react to it by increasing the gas, disengaging the clutch a little bit more, but not off the bike point, keeping the friction, but feathering the clutch a little bit more. Dip the clutch and throttle, yeah. So get the busy engine back up. Yeah, I mean, you can do a U-turn at 3 or 4 miles an hour. The slower you go, if you give it more gas, more drive, more back brake, you can turn it on full lock. You can turn it on full lock, but make it easy for yourself. Add more gas will prevent it labouring, yeah. More revs, but use clutch, yeah. Keep the clutch on the bike point, on the friction zone, yeah. Rear brake. Too much rear brake could make the engine labour. Yeah. And what about the foot down then? What can cause the foot going down? Looking down, but also if you're leaning. Yeah, if you're leaning with the bike. So if you're leaning with the bike, there's a good chance the foot could go down. So if you do feel that your foot's going to go down, try shifting your body weight. Try giving it a bit more drive to ride out of it, a bit more throttle to ride out of it. And it can be salvaged. Yeah, reduce the throttle, twist while pulling in clutch, and release both again, balancing them. Yeah, get the 3 controls working there. What about the curbs then on the road or the white line? And what do we know about target fixation? So if you look at the curb, curb, what is going to happen? It's where you're going to go, isn't it? So try not to transfix on the curb or the white line. Yeah, so if you do look at it, you will hit it. You'll go into it. It's like a magnet, isn't it? Yeah, very good chance that you would if you hit the curb. You'll either mount the pavement or you're going to slide along the curb and fall off. And anything else? Would you indicate then on a U-turn? Do you indicate on a U-turn? Yeah, I think you'll find it very hard to get a higher 125 now. No indicator. No, shouldn't need an indicator because if there's traffic around, you wouldn't be doing it, would you? Well, that's what I think anyway. Would you consider an indicator? Would an indicator be considered? I suppose if you're about to do the U-turn and the vehicle comes into play, you might abort it, so you might cancel it. Left indicator on that would do that. Or maybe you would, if you were doing the U-turn, you're going all the way around the U-turn and vehicle comes in, pop the left indicator on to let people know you're pulling in. But you wouldn't want to be doing an indicator to let people know what you're doing because you'd want to wait for them, wouldn't you? You would want to wait for the road to be clear. Flex, how far is allowed from the white line and the bike, Rob? Not much. Use the 7.5 meters because if you're doing it in sort of half the width, you're going to pick up a fault because in reality that will be in half the road. So use a full width of the road or the 2 white lines. As I say, if you go on the white line, you're going to get a minor fault. So, a couple of inches away from it, you're safe, I suppose. That would be good. Yeah, well, car drivers are car drivers. But yeah, it is one of the, I suppose, on the road, a U-turn has got to be one of the most dangerous maneuvers, hasn't it? Because you're turning around in the road, facing the opposite direction. Typical expert YT. I got my test tomorrow because I've got autism. I have to have a test before my CBT. So you're going along for a taster, is it? Having a little taster session before your CBT? Yeah, probably just so they can meet you and you can meet them. It'll help you. Maybe it'll help you feel a bit more relaxed, and then they can tailor. They can tailor your lesson to you. They know what they're up against then. Yeah, practice is so important. If you like any of the maneuvers on the module 1, if there's any of them that you're a bit weak with, practice. So the U-turn, if you've got the opportunity to practice, then it will only help you. It will only help you. What would I be doing? Apparently, I have to bring cloths and helmet and that. Yeah, well, you have to bring your own. Yeah, some schools at the moment, you have to take your own helmet and gloves and stuff because of COVID. I would think it's just a taster to see you, meet you, see what you like on a bike, I would think. Yeah, so good. So that's all about the U-turn. Hopefully that'll help. So my top tips are: focus, don't rush, coordination, momentum, the speed, your observations, where you're looking, and don't be afraid to lean the bike, but don't lean your body with it, and then relax. So there is a lot of similarity with the U-turn to the figure of 8. And I would certainly I teach people for speed, figure of 8, and the U-turn about the same, 6, 7, 8 miles an hour. And yeah, definitely practice. You need to practice. If you've got any slight doubt of any sort of thing in your mind, weakness about the U-turn, practice it, because you don't want to be going to the test centre and failing. You want to be going to the test centre and passing, especially at the moment as tests are hard to come by as well. Tests are hard to. Yeah, somebody's got a mate there. Then they're going to go and have a look at your bike with you. Figol, yeah, you had a big problem with the U-turns. What were you struggling with? I think we've sort of covered I've covered my sort of top 6 tips, but everybody has sort of bits of advice. Getting the head round and control. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, I mean, part of the learning process when we get new riders, and especially on the figure of 8, if I was teaching module 1, it's figure 8 before the U-turn, generally slow speed, and then slalom figure of 8, and then U-turn later. But getting a new rider to turn their head now is a big challenge sometimes, and you get people when they're moving their head, they're moving their body like this, but what they don't realize is relax the body, turn your head without your shoulders, rather than this. So that is a big challenge, getting the head round and controlled. And good evening, Ali. Yes, we need to get Laith Mod 2. Yes, last one was cancelled due to the weather. Yeah, the weather has been appalling. So, to be honest with you, not been missing much. But yes, we do need to get his module 2. His name came up today. I don't know whether Charlie's been in touch with him, but his name came up today. And then you can be getting out riding together. Yeah, so Sarah, you're finding the U-turn and figure of 8 easier with a flip-up helmet than a full face. And do you know why? So do you know why you're finding it easier? Have you got the answer? Why you are finding it easier with a flip-up helmet than with a full face? And there is a reason. I'm old in life. I help out others. Help and support should be. Yes, my mates can call me 3 a.m. and I am there for them. Good man. Better vision. Yes, Flex, you're right. So if you've got the flip up, you're able to see more. If you've got the full face, you're seeing less. And of course, that aids to, if you're looking where you go, and that is where you will go. Yes, so one woman blipped the throttle. So we had just had a lad now. He's passed his mod 2 today, mod 1 today, David, and he's an off-roader, and he's and he came to me from Blackpool actually. So if you are watching, David, well done for your module 1 pass today. But he blipped the throttle, and there is a big disadvantage with the blipping of the throttle on the slow speeds. So who can think what could happen if you're blipping your throttle on the slow speed? Because that's not the coordination, is it? The coordination of throttle, gas, throttle, clutch, back, brake, but it's the steady throttle. So what could happen if you're blipping your throttle on your slow speed maneuvers? It can jerk using the clutch, so it's not as smooth, but there is one really big disadvantage if you're blipping your throttle. And again, Harry, you're spot on. If you're on a module 2, it would come under eco, the eco riding. If you're blipping your throttle, you're polluting the environment. It's not environmentally friendly, but there is a real big disadvantage with blipping the throttle on the slow speed module 1s. Too high revs? No. And what can happen is if you are blipping the throttle, and if you close the throttle whilst engaging the clutch a slight little bit, it can stall the engine, and it happens. It's not uncommon. So if you're blipping the throttle, so as you close the throttle, if you were to blip it and your clutch is maybe you've closed the throttle and let the clutch out a little bit, the engine will cut. And if it cuts out, then there's a very good chance your foot's going to go down. And if your foot goes down, as you know, then you are in trouble on your test. So it is too high revs, excessive clutch wear, spot on, Jules. And Harry, I think we've all gone through a tunnel and red line before. Yep. So lots of disadvantages with blipping the throttle. So have we got any new viewers on tonight then? Any new viewers? Are there any of new viewers watching tonight? So the live stream tonight, as we've said a few times, is talking about the U-turn. And if you do go to the description box below, I have put a lot of links in. Top one being slow speed control discussed and explained. That was a live stream from about 5 weeks ago. And I've got module 1, slow speed, Blackburn test center. I've got Laith who did all of his slow speed maneuvers with me one morning. Got more videoed, and he went on to pass his module 1 in the afternoon. And Laith's brother Ali is was on a little bit ago. He's probably still hanging out with us. A few videos on slaloms and figures of eights, a few videos on the U-turns, and another video of Sue, who completed all of her slow speed. Just show you what we do on our slow speed maneuvers. So we've got a couple of live pupils there, Laith and Sue, showing us how it's all done. But yeah, so take a look. All of the videos are really, really beneficial to any of you that are thinking of CBT or thinking of module 1. It will benefit for you. And benefit with this live stream as well is that, you know, you can read through all the comments that people are putting in here, because there's a lot of experience there. All you guys that are commenting away in the chat room there have all got experience that the new riders that are watching the video can pick up on and can learn. So you're passing on your experience, and we can all learn from each other. Yeah, slow speed. So slow speed, it has to be right. So when we get new people coming through the school for a CBT, and the early stages, all the slow speed, which is why I spend a bit of time on the slow speed, because it will, develop it and develop it and develop it. But if you haven't got the basic skills, it will come back at you a little bit later on. Robert, at the end of the U-turn, do you advocate mirrors, then stop in control position, shoulders and mirror left to right again, then neutral and back to the control position? Yeah, I mean, when on your test, you complete your U-turn and just come to a stop, so you can have a look around. Effective observations again. Just have a look around, pop it into neutral, and the examiner will walk over to you. Yeah, that's it. It's all about, you know, thinking about what you do on the road. If you're on the road, you'd obviously ride off probably, wouldn't you? But you might stop. But every exercise on your module 1 test is stop. Then the examiner comes to you, explains what you're going to do next, and then has a chat with you. So you always want to put it into neutral. I suppose they insist on it, Harry, for safety. Yeah, they insist it going into neutral for safety, and you can then relax. If you pop it into neutral, you can just relax. If you sat there in first gear and then they could be talking to you for 2 minutes, then you're going to get your hands are going to ache, your wrists are going to ache. You know, you might drop the clutch, stall the bike, whatever. So it's just an opportunity for you to then relax and safety. RJH, once I hopefully pass that, I will be in the car parks doing slow speed stuff as much as out on the road. Yeah, keep on top of the skill. Yeah. Yeah, good advice, Hader. Good advice, that, very much so. So our portfolio of videos are very, very good. Absolutely. After the emergency stop, you come to a stop. First thing you really want to be doing is mirrors and shoulders, and then select neutral. Trail bikes, you don't slow ride on trail bikes, do you? You can get your feet down, do all sorts on trail bikes. 1 wheel, 2 wheel. Falling off on trail bikes, back on the bike on trail bikes, different riding, isn't it? Completely. It is a different style of riding completely. Yeah, I don't think it's markable, Larry. I think if you do your emergency stop, I don't think there's a fault recorded if you don't look around. But you know, it should be real life situation. We'd always teach people, once you come to a stop, have a look around. But on your test, I don't think it's a fault. I don't think they record a fault if you don't look around after your emergency stop, although we do teach you to. So I know a few examiners that have started watching some of our live streams, and not going to say which one, but one of them is two have said, "Oh, I was watching it, and your live thing came up, and I had a little look." But I don't think they're allowed to comment. I think they've got to keep a distant relationship. I don't think it would be wise for a DVSA examiner to start getting involved on the chats of a bike training school. Hey there, I would do my emergency stop and then do my mirrors and shite. Yeah, always afterwards. You don't do it whilst you're doing it. You'd certainly get a fault if you were looking in your mirrors as you were doing an emergency stop. We'd certainly get a fault if you were looking over your shoulders as you were doing an emergency stop. But once you stopped, different. Back in the day, I could balance my geared 50cc at near standstill with both feet up. Circular 1985. I've got a AW8. How that sounds awesome. I need to write that. So next summer, so the summer of 2022, then I will celebrate 50 years since I first was introduced to motorbikes. So I first started riding motorbikes in the summer of 1972, which next year is 50 years. And I'm going to do some sort of video celebration or whatever for that. I've not got any footage or videos of me riding in 1972. That would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? But not even got any photos. But anyway, so that's for next summer. The summer of 2022 is 50 years since I first started my journey, my lifelong journey of riding two wheels. Rob, I hope the examiners don't view your Bob the Biker song and chair dance routine. No, I'll tell you what I was thinking of, Adrian. I was thinking of getting, because the Bob the Biker is going to be a weekly Q&A, Sunday night, whatever. And I think I'm going to get that as a introduction to the live stream. What do you think? So every live stream, Bob the Biker on a Sunday, get that, you know, that. Yep. Do you teach 50-50 front and back brake for emergency stop? Sarah, it depends on the weather. So today I had 2 module 1 passes. As it was raining, it was 50-50 in the wet. And yes, so I do. In the dry, 70 front, 30 back. So it just depends on the weather conditions. Okay, hope that helps. All of our bikes that we present to test have ABS, the best braking system you can get. Do I know the distance between the cones on the slalom? Now, funny you should say that. I'm just now right in front of me. I've got a drawer. I've just opened the drawer, and here is a little graph. And it is the measurements, Sarah, of. So, the 5 yellow cones on the slalom are 4.5 meters apart. And when you get to the 2 blue cones, they are 6 meters apart. Now, this is a motorcycle maneuvering area, MMA dimensions, which is available online. But that is all there. I've got it here printed out. So the answer to your question, Sarah, is 4.5 meters in between the yellows, the 5 of them, and the 2 that you're doing your figure of 8 on, it's a 6 meters. Okay, so hope that helps you. Carl, no, well, I didn't know my real dad, so my blood dad, I didn't ever really get to know him. And my stepdad, not in my time, no. But I think I think my stepdad had a bike before I was born. I think it was a BSA, but they are not around anymore, so I can't even ask them. But it wasn't common on growing up that they had bikes, no. So it was, yeah, I think just something that as youngsters we just got into, and it didn't really stop. No, you don't. We had some Yamaha YS125s. They were all linked. That was interesting. None of our bikes at the moment are linked. They're totally independent, front brake, back brake. Yeah, always, Hader, well done. Always front brake followed by back brake. I was earlier than that, AWA. I was 1972 and it was a Cub 90. But yeah, similar sort of just knocking about. There were 6 of us. I've got a video which I'm just going to go and try and find you now. I took a trip down memory lane a few years ago, and I went over into Europe and stuff like that. But I took a trip down memory lane to where I first started riding a bike, going off the track a bit from the U-turn now, aren't we? But anyway, we don't mind. Let me just see if I can find it. It's on a playlist I've got, and you can see where where it all started for me. And let me get that. Here it is. So if anybody's bothered, if you're bothered, you're bothered. If you're not, you're not. Anyway, but I'll still put it on. But for me, this is where I first started in 1972. I was actually born in the village. I was born in the village that I grew up in up until I was about 11. We moved. But have a look at that video, link in the description. Yeah, I don't have a great deal of experience with them, but still, I think even with the link brakes, you'd still want to apply the brakes in the correct order, front brake, back brake, I would think. But I don't have a great deal of experience with them. To be honest, I think I prefer having them independently, so I know what I'm doing. But anyway, Tracer 900, nice bike, yummy. Well, they've all gone now. The village is all gone. The local farmer that we used to knock about, he used to let us go around the fields. He's not there now. Well, he is there. He's in the graveyard. Parents are in the graveyard. But go down there now. I mean, it's like a ghost town. Beautiful. In the Golden Valley, it's absolutely beautiful. You don't get traffic. You don't get queues of traffic. And living in Manchester, it's like bleeding. It's just full on. But the village, yeah, it's very nice. Post office, pub, and lots of animals. Yeah, you got a pub, That's it. You've got a pub, a church, post office, and not a lot else. A bus stop. So anyway, right, well, we've been going an hour. That's not bad, an hour, is it? Talking about U-turns, just slightly deviating on the conversation, but I'm hoping that's how it helped a few of you that are thinking of going on for your test. I had a few people that have been watching that passed their tests this week, along with our own trainees, but yeah, nice to know we're getting some people through from up and down the country. Nice of people to report in. I suppose all I ask really is for those people, don't stop following us, keep following us. Now, Sarah, I have got some tips for you. And what I'm going to do, we had a live stream on again. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, I don't know if it's your first time. If you're not, then subscribe. But anyway, go the playlist of live streams. They are becoming very popular. And let me just find one. I'm going to put the link in below for you. You can have a look. But I had a live stream, and it was all about first big bike. Now, let me just find it. Live stream discussing our top 10 first big bikes. And what I want you to have a look at that, because everybody has got their own answer, haven't they? Everybody's got, they will tell you what to go and get. So I will tell you what to go and get. Somebody else will tell you what to go and get. Everybody has their own opinion regarding the first. So what I want you to do is have a look at this live stream, okay? There you go. There is a video which is our sort of top 10 first big bikes. A lot of advice there for you to consider before committing to your first big bike. So take a look at that and let us know how you get on next time. So all of you watching, set your reminders on, because the next live stream video was actually tomorrow, because today was supposed to be yesterday anyway, but took Lisa out for something to eat. It was her birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Lisa, for yesterday, which is why I rescheduled the live stream from yesterday to today, because it was Lisa's birthday yesterday and took her out for a meal. So happy birthday for yesterday, Lisa. So tomorrow's live stream is a bit closer. There's no sort of big gap. But anyway, so tomorrow, the live streams tomorrow are, let's have a look what one we've scheduled. It is, talking all about the module 1 again. So we're going to talk all about the module 1 test tomorrow. And then on Sunday, it is the open Q&A Sunday evening. All right. So set the views, set the reminders on, and let's see you there. Yeah. So Sarah, any Japanese? Yeah, so well done, Sarah. Go back on all the playlists, this live stream playlist. There's so much information, so unbelievable. And what I've started doing, so if we're talking about tomorrow, module 1, all the links to the module 1s will be in the description. Go back to the module 2, all the links to the below. They're all the links are there. Lots of videos, lots of in the descriptions below. So you can help yourself out an awful lot. So where are you, Sarah, then? Where are you based and where are you up to? Have you done your CBT? Have you done your module 1? Where are you up to? But going back to that, yeah. So AW, the Honda Hornet, yeah. So I am a big fan of Honda. Yeah, I am a big Honda fan. But all the bikes that we teach on generally are Japanese. So Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha. They are the big players for new riders. Japanese, they are very reliable. Right, so I think that's pretty good going. I think we're coming up to the end, really. What I would say is thanks very much, everybody, for watching again. You can always play it back. Lexmoto, I've not used them, but they're not Japanese. Don't know what the reliability is of them, but they're a popular name, aren't they, Lexmoto? But I cannot say that I have any experience of them myself. But, you know, I know people that do use them for learning on. Suzuki Gladiuses, Suzuki SV650s. We've got a playlist, Sarah, of all the bikes that we use. So we've got reviews of the 650, the Kawasaki ER6Ns. Got reviews of the Honda CB500s, the Honda CB650s, reviews of Kawasaki Z400s. We've got many reviews. I've got to do a review of, I've got them off now a couple of days. So if the sun shines, I might do a review of the CB500. Absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And it's given me 91 miles to the gallon, 91.3 miles to the gallon, something like that. But anyway, it's anywhere between 90 and 93 miles per gallon. It's not very powerful. So on the motorway, it'll get up to 70, but it's pretty tame. And I wouldn't want to travel long distance. But for the job, it's very good. Yeah, I mean, take it over to France. I don't know whether I would want to go a long journey. I'd want to take one of my 1,000 cc's or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly reliable enough to do it. Yeah, they are Hader, both of them. No, you're a bit more limited, Harry, at the moment, but that time will come. That time will come. All in good time. You just want to get your experience going now on that. Learn the roads. CB500X can do 70, 80 and it will hold them all day long. So no issue. No, they will. Yeah, they will. Yeah. I do a couple of junctions on the M60. I mean, it's there. It's just, for me, it's just very tame. But as I say, I absolutely love it. We've got a few of them on the fleet. So yeah, it's been a good 1,000 sports bike. Probably wouldn't get me all hyped up, but in reality, a track bike legally allowed on the road. Yeah. Depends on budget, don't fair. Good, yeah. Okay, so I am now going to love you all and leave you. Yeah, it does, Harry. Yeah. So I will be seeing you possibly tomorrow night. And thank you all for watching. Be discussing everything about Module 1 tomorrow night. So it will be a good one. For those of you, it will be a good one. Okay, so thanks for watching. Have a good day tomorrow, and I will catch up with you all tomorrow night. Okay, so keep safe, everyone. Bye for now.